A 12-year-old girl disappeared without a trace in the arid mountains of Ethiopia. For 7 days and nights, police scoured thousands of square miles of wild and dangerous terrain. When they finally found her, they encountered a scene that defies everything we know about wild predators. What happened in those mountains will shake your beliefs about the animal kingdom. To understand why this story is so extraordinary, you need to know the brutal reality of rural Ethiopia. According to the United Nations, the majority of marriages in the country happen through kidnappings. Girls are literally abducted, some as young as 7 years old, beaten into submission, and forced into matrimony. 70% of marriages in rural areas begin this way. Our story takes place in Bedejenet, 350 miles from the capital Addis Ababa. It's a mountainous and arid region where both human and animal predators compete for the same dangerous territory. Here, Ethiopian lions, a unique subspecies with distinctive dark manes, still roam freely through the mountains. The girl was returning from school when 7 men ambushed her. They attacked her, tied her up, and took her to the mountains. For an entire week, they held her captive, planning to force her to marry one of them once they reached their final destination. Sergeant Wondimu Wendayu led the rescue operations, searching mountains that extend for thousands of square miles. Finding a child in this rocky and arid vastness was like looking for a needle in a haystack. Hours turned into days. Days turned into a week of anguish. During this time, the girl faced indescribable horror. Tied up, beaten, and forced to walk through wild terrain under the scorching sun, she cried incessantly. Her moans of pain and despair echoed through the empty ravines of the Ethiopian mountains. But what no one imagined is that this crying was being heard. Not just by the kidnappers. Not just by the empty echoes of the mountains. 3 wild creatures were approaching. And what happened next goes against all survival instincts, you know. These weren't ordinary predators stalking their prey. These were 3 full-grown Ethiopian lions, each weighing over 400 pounds, with razor-sharp claws and teeth designed to tear flesh from bone. In the wild, lions are responsible for hundreds of human deaths each year across Africa. They are apex predators with no natural enemies, creatures that have evolved to kill without hesitation. But as these 3 magnificent beasts emerged from the rocky terrain and approached the terrified child, something unprecedented occurred. Instead of attacking, instead of seeing her as easy prey, they began to circle her in what can only be described as a protective formation. The lions had heard her cries echoing through the mountains, and against every law of nature, against millions of years of predatory evolution, they chose to guard her rather than harm her. If this story is already making you intrigued, subscribe to the channel now, because what comes next is completely impossible to believe. On the 7th day of captivity, while the kidnappers were moving the girl through a mountain pass, 3 powerful silhouettes emerged from the rocks. Something that made 7 adult men panic completely and flee like cowards, stumbling over stones in absolute desperation. Anyone would expect this to be the most terrible moment in the girl's story. But prepare yourself, because what's going to happen now defies everything we know about wild predators. The 7 kidnappers immediately dropped the girl and raced down the mountain. And then, something extraordinary happened. Something that experts worldwide still debate how it was possible. The 3 creatures that had terrorized armed adult men did something that seems straight out of a Disney movie. Instead of attacking the defenseless and traumatized child, they positioned themselves around her, forming a perfect protective triangle. They were 3 wild Ethiopian lions. Their genders were not identified, but it's known that adult males possess their characteristic black manes, each weighing up to 440 pounds, with jaws capable of crushing skulls and claws that can tear flesh like paper. The most lethal predators in East Africa. And now comes the most shocking part. When the rescue team finally located the group, they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The girl was sitting on the ground, alive and conscious, while 3 wild lions stood guard around her like loyal sentinels. They showed no aggression toward her. They didn't touch her. They didn't hurt her. They assumed a defensive posture, like experienced guards protecting something precious. The police approached with extreme caution, expecting the predators to defend their territory or attack. But the lions did something even more extraordinary. When they noticed the arrival of the humans, they simply stood up, looked one last time at the child, and calmly walked back to the mountains, as if they had completed a mission. They stood guard until we found the girl, Sergeant Wundumu told reporters. Then they left her like a gift and returned to the forest. The girl was found dehydrated and traumatized, but physically intact. She had been brutally beaten by the kidnappers, but the lions hadn't caused her a single scratch. The 7 kidnappers were captured 3 days later, still hiding in the mountains. During interrogation, they confirmed the version of events, admitting they fled in panic when they saw the lions approaching. But how is this possible? Stuart Williams, an expert in wild feline behavior, offers a fascinating explanation. The girl's cries of despair may have sounded like the mewing of a lost lion cub. Adult lions have an extremely strong protective instinct toward cubs. When they hear distress calls, they respond immediately, even if they come from other species. It's possible that the 3 lions interpreted the traumatized crying as calls for help from a cub in danger, but not all experts buy this romantic explanation. Hunter Colonel Lema Legis, who spent decades studying Ethiopian lions, offers a darker perspective. They were probably preparing to eat her, but were intercepted by the arrival of the police. Legis points out that lion attacks on humans had been increasing in the region due to the decline of natural prey. In his view, the lions were simply deciding when and how to attack the girl when they were interrupted. Other experts suggest a third possibility. The lions may have been confused by the scent of multiple humans at the location. The odor of the kidnappers masked that of the girl, making the predators hesitate long enough for the police to arrive. The fact is that this story forces us to question everything we think we know about wild predators. Are animals capable of interspecies compassion? Or was it just an extraordinary series of coincidences and misunderstandings? The truth is, we'll never know for certain what motivated those 3 lions. Confused paternal instinct, curiosity, indecision, or genuine compassion. Each explanation has its evidence and its flaws. What we know for certain is that an innocent girl is alive today because 3 of Africa's most lethal predators chose not to attack her. Whatever the reason, the result was a miracle that defies our understanding of the natural world. If this impossible story fascinated you as much as it fascinated me, subscribe to the channel for more surreal stories about encounters between humans and wildlife. And I left a special gift for you, a video that will show you another impossible encounter that will shake your beliefs about the animal kingdom. Click now and prepare to question everything you thought you knew about wild predators.